stakes are almost unimaginably grave. COVID was not some immaculate infection.
The debate over the origins of COVID continues to command headlines. Today on Capitol Hill, House Republicans held another hearing.
Our goal here is also to prevent a future pandemic. We'll never be able to prevent it if we don't get the answers that we need with respect to how this happened in the first place.
Senate Republicans released a new report, not a formal scientific paper, outlining their latest investigation, asking the question, where exactly did COVID-19 come from?
I think when you put together the intelligence information, the epidemiology, all the evidence together, it points towards 2 leaks.
It's a theory that hasn't been explored before, double leaks, caused by research-related incidents at laboratories in Wuhan. Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas is the ranking Republican on the Health Subcommittee that released this report.
As a physician, I have a responsibility for people's health. As an obstetrician, I could impact 15, 20, 40 people a day. Today, my decisions might impact millions.
Congressional investigators concluded that the preponderance of circumstantial evidence suggests an accidental lab leak is the most plausible origin of the COVID pandemic.
There's a significant amount of facts that would disprove the theory that this was a spillover from nature, something natural.
To date, nearly 7 million people have died from COVID, and Marshall, along with a team of congressional investigators, scientists, and lawyers, have been working on the unsolved case of COVID's origins for nearly 2 years. In September 2019, a pre-pandemic world was spinning on its axis, but according to congressional investigators, something else was happening in Wuhan that was about to knock everything off course.
There was probably a leak sometime in the September timeframe of 2019. It seems like it was just a very small leak.
So the first leak would have been contained to just a few people?
I think that's right. They were able to contain it for whatever reasons.
In their 302-page report, investigators say a lab leak or natural occurrence are both plausible theories, but they point to the Wuhan Institute of Virology's experimental and biosafety history, concluding the most likely research-related incident is an undetected aerosol leak causing an infection of WIV personnel or the release of infectious virus into the outside environment.
Let's go back to the September-October time frame. The traffic, the satellite photos around here all of a sudden look like something's not right here. The number of people in the hospitals clicking up as well.
Dr. Robert Kadlec is the lead author of the report and U.S. Director of Biodefense under President George W. Bush. During the Trump administration, he served in the Department of Health and Human Services as the Assistant Secretary in charge of the response to the pandemic.
There's a suggestion in this report that COVID could have leaked twice from a lab?
There's some evidence for possibly 2 spillover events. It was recognized early during the pandemic there were 2 lineages, talked about A and B, that were separated potentially by a period of time, maybe several days or weeks.
That second possible lab leak, according to the report, may have happened while Chinese researchers were attempting to develop a vaccine for COVID-19 as early as November 2019.
There was a patent issued on the 24th of February of 2020 for the first COVID vaccine. What makes it significant, it was not the first, but it was one of the first, and it included mouse data, which indicated that they actually used the prototype vaccine to vaccinate a mouse to actually test it against the virus.
That vaccine patent is a telltale clue that China had the virus genome in November.
That's correct.
According to the report, investigators cite concerns that animal vaccine challenge experiments, if conducted at the Wuhan Institute of Virology's facilities and associated labs, may have been operating under inadequate biosafety containment conditions, which could have resulted with one of the workers being exposed and infected, possibly leading to the wider outbreak in Wuhan that would become a global pandemic. One of the Wuhan Institute of Virology's lead researchers, Dr. Shizhen Li, has previously denied that the virus could have emerged from a leak in her lab. ABC News reached out to authorities in Beijing for comment on this new report. They did not respond, but they previously have claimed in statements to ABC News that China has shared the most data and research results and made the greatest contribution to global origin tracing research. The main reason why the origin tracing research is hindered is the political manipulation of the United States. Investigators are clear that when they compiled this report, they probed both natural and lab leak theories.
What we've got here is a report where I think the conclusions were already made before the investigation happened. When you mix science and politics, you get politics.
Virologist Michael Waraby has published multiple papers exploring the zoonosis, or natural origin of COVID.
The market was shut down within just a few days of the first human cases being recognized. And so we just don't have samples from animals. But what we do have is a whole lot of other evidence showing that the animals certainly were there.
Waraby and a team of scientists recently issued a new report, not yet peer-reviewed, that showed genetic material from the virus intermingled with raccoon dog DNA found at the Wuhan wet market in the early days of the pandemic, zeroing in on a potential intermediary animal host for the virus, a raccoon dog, which is a close relative to the fox.
The key thing is we need to keep our eye on this human activity that brings these animals that are riddled with these viruses that have the potential to do this into the heart of big cities.
Even still, the answer to the question of COVID's origins remains elusive.
The majority of the scientific community that studies zoonotic outbreaks still sees the natural spillover as the predominant theory. We still don't have all the data that we need. And so this report makes a case for lab leaks, but really all hypotheses are still on the table.
Just last month, President Biden signed a bill to declassify intelligence gathered on COVID's origins in the coming months.
President Biden has said the intelligence around this needs to be declassified. Is that going to support or undermine this report, do you think?
Everything I've read, everything that we've been reading, whether it's classified or unclassified, supports this document. So we all anxiously await for that to happen.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.